Hello, MCU fans. Today we're going to take a look at the exciting announcement that Marvel Studios is finally releasing an official MCU timeline. I know, Spider-Man, I'm shocked too. But yeah, this has been a long time coming. I can't wait. So let's take a look at this thing. All right, it's going to be published by Penguin Random House and entitled Marvel Studios: The Marvel Cinematic Universe, an Official Timeline. It's going to come out on September 5th of 2023. I wish it was tomorrow. It's going to be hardcover and come at a price of $50. That's pretty hefty, but I would gladly pay it if it will just resolve some of these timeline controversies that have been debated, in some cases, for years. And I think it might, because look at this description. It is the definitive, filmmaker-endorsed, and that's key, guide to the lore, timelines, and characters of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's going to answer the biggest questions of what happened, when, where, and why. It's going to go from the Big Bang to the blip and beyond. And they even mention in here, it's going to give us the complete history of Cap's shield. Now, it's kind of funny because you're like, well, that's pretty detailed, right? Does that really matter? Oh, yes, it does. There are tons of debates on where on earth Captain America got that shield to give to Sam Wilson. So yeah, this is going to be great. I can't wait. But I'll be honest, it ain't worth 50 cents if it doesn't answer 20 key questions that need to be addressed inside this. So let's dive right in and look at the 20 things that this new timeline book needs to put to bed once and for all. All right, first of all, will the Disney Plus timeline end up being accurate? You know, it's funny. People just beat on this poor thing. You know, they basically are saying, hey, Marvel Studios doesn't even look at it. They don't know whether it's right or wrong. It's put up randomly by a Disney Plus website designer. I don't think so. There's no way Kevin Feige doesn't look at this timeline and that it isn't at least close to right. He has too much pride in his work, and this is so visible. But yet, look at these quotes. And I love Screen Rant, but man, do they ever beat. They beat on the Disney Plus timeline. You know, these are all articles that they've written, and I could find 20 more probably. So here's what's interesting. Will it turn out that this thing was actually right? Wouldn't that be crazy? As much grief as it's gotten from fans. And if it's wrong, by the way, then they better darn well fix it, because it needs to reflect whatever this timeline is given when the book comes out. So anyway, this one will be an interesting question to get answered. All right, will previous timelines be ignored? There was a timeline put out by Marvel in 2012, right around the time of Avengers, and it harmonized all the previous movies, even down to the scene in some cases. Will it have relevance anymore? Probably not, but it'll be interesting to compare it to the new one. And then there was a timeline that was put out in the 10-year anniversary in 2018. Now, this one isn't real detailed, obviously, but it does give us years for everything. So will this still be relevant? Probably not, but again, it'll be interesting to compare. All right, will we answer once and for all, are the pre-Disney Plus shows still canon? I say still because they absolutely were canon. Feige has addressed that and said, yes, when they were released, they were canon. Are they still canon? Maybe they all are. Maybe some of them are. Maybe none of them are. Just tell us so this debate can stop. We want to know, are they canon? All right. Along the same line, are the MCU comic tie-ins still canon? Now, that maybe not as important as some of those pre-Disney Plus shows, but still, they're great reading. They give all kinds of details of behind-the-scenes things that, just didn't get covered in the movies. So if they are canon, I would expect to see them in this timeline book, and we can address this question once and for all. All right, will we learn who the MCU presidents are? You might say, oh man, come on, that's not that important, is it? Well, I didn't think so until I did a video on it, and go check it out if you haven't seen it, but oh man, it gets really confusing around the Obama timeframe. Ellis, was Trump even president? If so, was he blipped? And then Ritson, when was Ritson president? So yeah, we need an official listing of everyone that's been president and when, because even that's controversial. How will the what-if timelines be handled? Will they even go into them? And if they do, will they maybe discuss the branch points from the main timeline and then give the timelines for each major episode that comes out? It's a great question. I'd love to see how they handle the what-if timelines. Also, how will the Sony multiverse stories be handled? Will we get an official timeline for Tobey's Spider-Man and Andrew's Spider-Man and Venom and, yes, even Morbius? I mean, the movie's fine, but that end credit scene, I'm going to harp on that until the till the end of the earth. In fact, maybe this will finally eliminate that end credit scene and say it didn't happen. Yes, that would be awesome. Give us back Vulture, please. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how the Sony multiverse stories are handled in the book, as well as the Fox stories, because we know Deadpool will be coming into the MCU before long. So yeah, lots of questions around that. All right, so all of these questions up to this point have been kind of high level, far-reaching questions. Now we're going to get down to the granular movie questions, the ones that have been nagging us for years. Starting with, what year did Iron Man occur in? Oh man, give us this answer, Marvel. So upper right-hand corner in the movie, they gave us a 2008 date. Okay, 2008. Well, no, then they come out with the timeline that I mentioned earlier in 2012, and if you do the math, it's in 2009. Okay, fine, 2009. No, because then in Age of Ultron, while he's scanning through the files, they give us a date of 2010 for Iron Man. Okay, so 2010 then, right? Yes, they actually stick with 2010 because when that 2018 timeline came out, they tell us, yes, it's in 2010. Problem solved, right? No, it's not, because in Civil War, Vision says it was 8 years ago that Mr. Stark declared, I am Iron Man, and obviously 2016 to 2010 is not 8 years. Oh my goodness. I mean, Iron Man's been retconned so many times that there is no way to make everything work. Something is going to have to be sacrificed. In my opinion, they're going to go with 2010 and sacrifice Vision's line. But hey, I don't care at the end of the day. Just tell us so we can stop talking about it. Then we have, speaking of Iron Man 3. Now, this is a lesser issue, not as controversial, but still, people debate it even to this day. So in the prologue, they give us a 1999 date. And multiple times characters say 13 years later, 13 years later. That would place it, therefore, in 2012. Other than the fact that there's a newspaper article that places it in 2013. Now, I normally dismiss the newspaper articles that you see for like a millisecond on screen, but there are still people that debate to this day whether it's 2012 or 2013. Again, we just want the answer. Then we got Doctor Strange. How long of a time span was this movie? We know when it begins because his watch, which is displayed near the beginning of the movie, has February 2nd of 2016. But how long does it go? Well, we know it has to go to the point where it snows in New York, so theoretically it probably goes till at least November, but it could even go into 2017. And you would think, okay, does this really matter? Well, check out Scott Derrickson's Twitter and how many times people have hit him up for, hey, when does this happen? When does it start? When does it end? What was the duration? I mean, the poor guy is just basically saying, leave me alone. I don't have anything to do with Marvel anymore. Just go away. So yeah, it actually is a big deal, and it would be nice to finally get the answer of the time span for Doctor Strange. All right, then we've got Captain America. Did he travel back to a branch timeline to see Peggy or not? Was it the main 616 or branch? They have to answer this. I mean, how can they not cover this event and not also answer it once and for all? I think it's a branch. You know where I stand. But again, just tell me the answer and make it make sense, and I'm fine. And that's where they'll also probably cover Cap's shield. Remember I mentioned that earlier. Because did this shield come from a branch timeline or from the main timeline? And in either case, where did he get the thing? Come on, give us these answers. All right, now we move into Phase 4, which has so many controversies, it's insane. Starting with Tiamet. When did Tiamet emerge from the ocean? Was it in 2024? That's what Disney Plus would tell you. But Ajax in the movie, actually, for Eternals, mentions 5-year span, which makes you think 2023. Which is it? We just want to know. Then you've got the question of whether the Eid Festival timing beats out when school starts. So in Miss Marvel, it's centered around the second Eid Festival, which would have been June. However, there's all these posters, which I'm sorry, they're kind of blurry because it was hard to capture these, do screen captures. But notice, Fight the Flu, there's a September car wash, and get your homecoming tickets today. All of those are implying it's the beginning of the school year, September. Likewise, we have Kamran transferring in, which you wouldn't do, at the end of a school year in June. So everything seems to indicate September, other than when the Eid Festival occurs. So which is it? Which wins? We just want to know. Speaking of festivals and controversy, does a bus poster beat out when the Qingming Festival occurs? Well, according to Disney Plus, it sure looks like Shang-Chi is a July movie, and of course there's an Easter egg in the movie that makes you think July, but it's all centered around the Qingming Festival, which is the only time you can get to Ta Lo, and that's in April. So which is it? Is it April or is it July? We just want to know. Then you got the moon phases, and are they a reliable timeline indicator or not? So Disney Plus places Moon Knight in 2025, presumably around April, which is the beginning of the time that the museum exhibit was running. But clever fans have looked at the phases of the moon and believe that they have pinpointed June of 2024 as when the movie or the TV show occurs. Just tell us which it is. Can we trust the moon or can we trust Disney Plus? Only one of them is going to win. All right, how long after Wong's cage fight in Shang-Chi was the video released in She-Hulk? Again, this is still debated by people. Was it right after, which would place She-Hulk in, mid-2024? Or do you trust Disney Plus, which puts it in mid to late 2025? And meaning there was a year between when it was filmed and released. Then we got this question. Star-Lord, I'm with you. Will somebody just tell me how long Thor was with the Guardians? So you've got James Gunn saying that they were only together for a few weeks, which would place Thor Love and Thunder in early 2024. You got fans that like to place it in mid-2024. You got Disney Plus placing it in seemingly late 2025. And then you got Taika Waititi that said that they were together for 4 years, which would place it in 2027. Yes, again, Star-Lord's look is perfect. That is fans everywhere. Just tell us the answer and stop making things so darn vague. Then we've got the question of when did Werewolf by Night occur, and really where, for that matter. I mean, I love the fact that it is a bottle episode, that it's very contained and there's not a lot of Easter eggs. But at the same time, I still want to know, when did it happen? And did it even happen in 616? Or is it possible this is even in another part of the multiverse? Just want to know. Just want to know the answers. Then, man, you would think we wouldn't still be having so much controversy with movies this far into Phase 4. But the question of how long after Endgame did T'Challa pass away is actually very controversial. So one camp says that he passed away really right after coming back from Endgame, so after the blip. It wasn't long after it. And that would place the movie in late 2024 or maybe early 2025. And then there's a camp that says, no, he was around for a full year. In fact, Disney Plus, I believe, is going to place it that he died a year after coming back, which would put it in a September, October, November of 2025. Oy, it's just endless how much controversy there has been in Phase 4 on the movie placements and the TV show placements. But the final question, and the one that may never fully be answered, is, will fans agree with the timeline, or will headcanon continue to win out? I love this thumbnail from a recent New Rockstars break room video. That's just perfect. That's fans everywhere screaming right now at the MCU timeline, which obviously the Disney Plus timeline, as I mentioned, just gets beat up left and right. But will it be the same for this book? Can this book possibly make not everyone happy? Can it even make the majority of fans happy? I don't know. But again, it'll be worth $50, worth $500 if it will solve all these issues and make people, well, not have this face anymore, right? So, hey, let me know what you think in the comments. Number one, would you pay $50 for this book? Number two, do you think it will answer these questions? And maybe what are your thoughts on some of these questions? Particularly this last one, will anything ever make everyone happy? Well, and if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can watch more content, and we can all continue to enjoy the ever-growing, ever-changing Marvel Cinematic Universe.